Oh, good morning. Can you tell we're happy you're here? I'm Mark Thompson, Executive Vice President and Provost at Quinnipiac University, and it's a pleasure for me on behalf of our faculty and staff to welcome you as the newest members of our Quinnipiac community. That ovation that you got this morning came from the faculty and staff who, that's 20, 25 minutes of clapping constantly. I'm very impressed with your effort this morning. But faculty and staff, could you stand one more time? Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2019, these are the folks who are committed to your learning and who did a magnificent job, and I want you to all thank them. And there's one more group I want to recognize who have taken the responsibility. They're incredibly committed to Quinnipiac. They're incredibly committed to everything that's necessary to make sure that you are appropriately welcomed and that you feel a part of this community right from the start. And those are your orientation leaders. Would you stand, please, and would you thank them for their great work? Thank you for all that you do on behalf of our freshman class. It's now my pleasure to introduce the President of Quinnipiac University, Dr. John Leahy, to welcome all of you.
Thank you. It's great to see all of you, class of 2019. What a bright, young-looking group. You know, the only disadvantage about being a university president is that each year I'm a year older and the freshmen are still always 18 years of age. So the gap is widening, but it's truly great to have you here as the newest members of the university community. And I can tell you, you're one of the brightest class we ever enrolled. You represent just over 1,900 freshmen that were selected from over 20,000 applications. So 10 applications for every available seat, and you're the product of that admissions process. So congratulations. Over the next 4 years, you'll hear very often, 4 or more years, depending on your programs, but you'll hear often we talk about our 3 core values: a commitment to high-quality academic programs, a student-oriented environment, and a strong sense of community. And you'll find during your days and years ahead at Quinnipiac that these 3 core values have some very important benefits for each and every one of you. But they also carry a responsibility that you have to live up to. So our commitment to high-quality academic programs means that you can be sure no matter what your major or courses that you take, you will have some of the finest faculty members anywhere in the country, great classrooms and facilities and laboratories and equipment and technology that are the finest in higher education for the programs that we offer. But your responsibility is to take your studies seriously and make sure your academics and your studies are the most important. There'll be a lot of distractions on this campus, as there are in all college campuses, to take you away from time to time, but particularly in your first year as freshmen. Make sure your priority is academics first and then some enjoyment later. And our student-oriented environment means for you that we're not only committed to the quality of your education in the classroom, but also the quality of life and the services that we provide outside the classroom. So you will find we have a full range of services, some 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like our public safety and our health center and our library that's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So all the resources we have in the Learning Center and the tutoring programs, the academic advising, the career development, those are there to help you. And when you do have some struggles and when you do have some need for help, please, by all means, go out and seek that help. It's there for you. We'll communicate all the resources that are there to help you outside the classroom, but you must take the initiative when you need help. Don't be ashamed to ask for it. These next 4 or 5 years are going to be challenging and demanding, and there surely will be some bumps along the road. But you can achieve great things here at Quinnipiac. You wouldn't be here if that were not possible. But when you need help, make sure you seek it out. And then our third core value is a strong sense of community. We not only value, but we celebrate community and a diverse community. And whether it's ethnic diversity or racial diversity or gender or sexual orientation, we celebrate those differences here on our campus. And you will find that your individuality and your uniqueness, whatever it is, it will be supported here on this university campus. But you too have a responsibility. You must respect the differences among not only your various fellow classmates, but all the students and all the faculty and staff here at Quinnipiac. We don't tolerate hate speech, let alone hate activities of any kind. But I can assure you again, if you respect the individuality and the differences that you will find on this wonderful, vibrant, and diverse community, your uniqueness and your individuality will be supported as well. So again, in short, take your study seriously from your very first class tomorrow morning, and when you do need some help, by all means, please ask for it. So again, a warm welcome to the class of 2019. Have a great freshman year. I look forward to getting to know all of you in the months and years ahead. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Joan, Isaac Moore, Vice President for Admissions and Financial Aid, to tell you a little bit about yourselves.
All of us in the admissions office have enjoyed working with you, talking with you, meeting with you and your families, and it's a pleasure to see you all here today. We've held you in our hands as we've read your files. We've taken a look at you as you look on our computer screens, but I have to say you look much better in person. Today's a milestone in your lives. You're gathered here at the TD Bank Sports Center, and you'll gather here again either in 3, 4, or maybe 5 years at your graduation. The time will go very quickly. I encourage you to realize the investment that Quinnipiac and your families are making in your future and take advantage of the range of opportunities that are here for you. You've already started your college career, and today's program is the initial step on your path of discovery. Your faculty and administrators are here with you and will be here with you to cheer when you succeed, to advise you when you have questions, and to reassure you when you stumble. It's not always easy. It is different from high school, and it's okay to be nervous. This year in admissions, we received nearly 23,000 applications from high school seniors, and let me tell you a little bit about the class of 2019. You are part of being what may always be known as the largest class in Quinnipiac's history. 78% of you come from states outside of Connecticut, from 30 states and 30 countries. 19% have self-identified as students of color. You've come from more than 900 high schools, from Connecticut to California, Alaska to Florida, and from China to Istanbul to Canada. On average, you ranked in the top quarter of your high school class. You have lots of time to get to know each other, and just so you know, there are about 738 men in this class and 1,190 women. So that's a lot of people to get to know, but I'll make it easy for you. I'll introduce you to 300 of your closest friends. Raise your hand if your name is Nicole, Jessica, Rachel, Julia, Lauren, or Samantha. Who are those? That's 10% of the women in the class. Raise your hand if your name is Matthew, Michael, Ryan, Nicholas, Andrew, or Christopher. That's 20% of the men. As for majors, 9% have chosen the School of Nursing. 10%, and they're all up there. 10% have chosen the School of Communications. 25% have chosen the School of Business and Engineering. 26% have chosen the College of Arts and Sciences. And 30% have chosen the School of Health Sciences. I can see how you're all grouped. Although each of you is enrolled in a particular school or college, 20% still have not chosen a particular major. 1/3 of you will be staying at Quinnipiac through your graduate degree, which can be in physical therapy, physician assistant, occupational therapy, business, communications, education, science, law, or medicine. Now, when I call your state, I'm going to ask that you stand and remain standing until the entire class is standing. First, I'd like to welcome our international students as well as American students from overseas. Would you please stand and remain standing? To join them, let's have our students from Alaska, California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Idaho, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Nebraska, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, and Wisconsin. Please remain standing. We'd also like to welcome our students from Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Please stand. We'd also like to welcome our students from Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Rhode Island. And our final four, we welcome students from Massachusetts, from New Jersey, from New York, and from Connecticut. President Leahy and members of the faculty, it is my pleasure to present the 1,900 members of the class of 2019. May we all benefit from our time together. You may be seated.
It's now a distinct honor for me to introduce the next speaker, your Student Government Association President, Jonathan Aitken.
All right. Is this thing on? Can everyone hear me? We're good? All right. So I'm your third speaker. I get it. We're all kind of tired. So let's start off with a little mental exercise. How's that sound? Everyone down for that? All right. Let's do it. All right. I want everyone here to think of a relatively new song that you love. Okay? This is a song that gets you pumped. This is the song that when it comes on, you feel morally obligated to turn to everyone you know and let them know that this is your jam. All right? That's the song. All right, so take a second. Let me guess. I can probably guess what the song that most of you are thinking, right? Yeah? No? Okay. All right, fine. So, now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine listening to that song on replay for an entire day. Okay? 24 hours of the exact same song. How do you feel about that song? Do you still enjoy it? I'm going to make the assumption, based off the looks on your faces, that you reached a point where you no longer want to hear this song, all right? You don't receive the same kind of enjoyment from it that you did the first time you heard it, okay? So why is that? So the first time you heard it, you felt really, really excited about it, and then, a few plays later, you're still excited about it, you enjoy it, not as much as the first time, but finally you get all the way down to a point where you don't want to hear this song anymore. You have heard it so many times, you're done with it, right? Okay, so in economics, we call this the law of diminishing marginal utility. Sounds complex, right? It's actually quite simple. What that law says is that the more a person consumes something, the less satisfaction they receive each time they consume it. Okay? So with that song, you heard it over and over and over again to the point that you received no more satisfaction from it. Okay? So now, I just want to let you know, you are all now acquainted with that term. You can now share it with your friends, and you'll sound like wicked smart when you do it, okay? All right. So as Dr. Thompson said, my name is Jonathan Aitken. I'm currently a senior economics major from Boston. Woo! And I'm also your student body president. So it's my pleasure, on behalf of the entire student body, to welcome you, the class of 2019, to Quinnipiac. Give it up. Okay. So it is also a tradition that the student body president will give the freshman class some type of advice on how to succeed at Quinnipiac University, okay? So this summer I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what it was that I would tell you. What is the key to success here? And I arrived at this conclusion. There is nothing new in the next few minutes that I can tell you that's going to significantly change your college experience. That's the honest truth. But there's a reason I say that, okay? And that's because all the best pieces of advice that I could give you are just things that you have already heard. In fact, you've probably heard them hundreds, if not thousands of times in your life, all right? You've heard them so many times to the point that they have become cliche, all right? These terms, these phrases that you hear have been so overused that they no longer have any more value, okay? Does this sound familiar? So, as experts of the law of diminishing marginal utility, we all know that at some point these phrases and these pieces of advice were probably really valuable, right? But you've heard them over and over and over again to the point that you no longer want to hear them. You, just like the song, you just kind of tune them out, all right? So this is my goal today. My goal today is to restore the value of one particular piece of advice. And if you follow this advice, I can promise you that you will succeed at this university, okay? So you ready for it? This is it. Do what you want. That's it. That is the key to success at this university. Just do what you want. And it's funny because you actually probably hear this phrase a lot more than you think. You might have also heard it as, listen to your heart, or follow your passion, right? But I like do what you want because it's a lot more direct. So this is the example that I'm going to use that you probably hear frequently. How many of you have that friend that when you seek their advice and lay out this huge pressing dilemma in your life, their response to you is, I don't know, just like do what you want. And you're like, that's it? That's your advice? I mean, for me, my brother is that person in my life. And the conversation usually consists of me laying out some big complex issue with pros and cons, and then he's just like, yeah, dude, you know what? You should do what you want. And I hated that advice. I wanted direction. I wanted him to tell me what to do. But here's the catch. That advice is genius. That is the best advice that you can give to someone. And here's why. Because when somebody tells us to do what we want, we first have to figure out what it is that we want. And then the advice instructs us to go ahead and do it. All right? So it's a two-step process. Figure out what you want, and then do it. So let's go back to that first step for a second, figuring out what we want. Figuring out what you want. And let me backtrack. It always depends on what we're talking about. So figuring out what you want for lunch is probably a lot easier than figuring out what you want your major to be. Figuring out where you want to go at night is probably a lot easier than figuring out who you want your friends to be, right? So at this point, I want to introduce the next cliche term that you hear so frequently that you actually probably already heard it today, all right? It's this: try new things. And the reason why this cliche is actually so valuable is this. The process of figuring out what we want is the exact same process of figuring out what we don't want. And the only way to find either of these things is to try them. And that's the best part about college, is that you are constantly forced to try new things. You are forced to step outside of your comfort zone. And realistically, if I wanted to see that in action, all I have to do is just look out in front of me right now. I see 2,000 individuals who have left their comfort zones and have come to a place where they really don't know anybody. Right now, you're probably sitting in a room full of strangers. So we all have these places of comfort, and sometimes it's tough to get out of them. Like for me, for example, my comfort zone consists of my couch and Netflix. That's my zone. That's where I live. Occasionally I'll venture outside that zone. I'll go on Hulu. Yeah, good. But in all seriousness, if you're ever at a place where you don't know what you want, or you don't know how to figure out what you want, the solution, as cliche as it sounds, is to try new things. Okay? So that's the first step, all right? That's step one of doing what we want. So that brings us to the next step. That is figuring out what you want. This brings us to the next step, doing what we want. Can we roll tape? Can we play that clip again? All right, so I know you guys are probably sick of hearing me speak, so I'm going to let somebody else explain this procedure, all right? So let's roll clip. We're getting there.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do
it is. He said that a lot better than I could, okay? So I couldn't rob you of that opportunity, all right? So the next thing I'm going to say is actually probably going to sound a little bit absurd, but hear me out, okay? There's no such thing as failure in college. Really, there isn't. If college is about figuring out who we are, what we want, and like the process of building upon ourselves, that's really just not a task that you can fail at, all right? Now, please don't twist my words. You can fail out of college, okay? That can happen. I'm sure there's people in this room who have seen that happen. But I know that you are all here to put in an honest effort, and you are here ready to go, and that's not going to happen to any of you, so don't have to worry about that. So now I want to remind you that all of you are sitting here right now because you've all gone through summer orientation, right? And at some point during this orientation, you signed the Book of the Legend, which contains our university creed, okay? So now I would like to invite up the orientation interns to come read to us the creed of our university. So will the following names come forward? Reagan Kelleher, Chris Zowlett, and Joe Burke. Please come forward.
All right, we're going to start off with the student body creed. I'm going to read it the first time, and then the second time Joe will lead us, and I want you guys to repeat it back to us. The student body creed. I choose to be a member of the Quinnipiac University community. I strive for integrity, responsibility, and academic excellence. I respect and value all members of this diverse community. I embrace the inclusion of all people. I preserve Quinnipiac's tradition of pride and spirit. Together, we are the architects of our future. We are the legend.
So, Joseph, after I say it, repeat after me. I choose to be a member of the Quinnipiac University community.
I choose to be a member of the Quinnipiac University community.
I strive for integrity, responsibility, and academic excellence. I respect and value all members of this diverse community. I embrace the inclusion of all people. I preserve Quinnipiac's traditions of pride and spirit. Together, we are the architects of our future. We are the legend.
The Legend of the Bobcat. The Indian spirit Hobbamock was doomed to eternal sleep when a spell was cast over him. But his ferocious companion, a stealthy giant bobcat with vibrant blue and fiery gold eyes, was spared such a fate. Hobbamock now sleeps soundly, belly up, forming the peaks of the sleeping giant mountain. Today, the confident and devoted bobcat loyally defends its now sleeping giant and all that falls in its shadow. From time to time, the bobcat can be spotted around campus, watching over our school. Legend says that the bobcat will allow no harm to those who swift and brave enough to rub its paw.
Give it up. Give it up for them. All right, I'm back. I'm almost done, I promise. All right, so you guys might have heard the term SGA. So what it stands for is the Student Government Association. And just so you know, the purpose of our organization is to represent student interests in any way that it exists, okay? So our office is on the second floor of the Carl Hansen Student Center. Our doors are always open. If you ever have any type of little concern or just like a really good idea of something that you'd like to see implemented on our campus, please come talk to us. Even if you're just looking for a place to come hang out, our door is always open and we welcome everyone. So last thing I want to do before I get off the stage is this. If you are now a current or past student of our university, I want you to raise your hand. All right? If you are a member of the university faculty, a professor, I want you to raise your hand. If you are a member of the university staff or administration, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. These are the three bodies that make up Quinnipiac University. And it is the interaction and the relationships between these three groups that determine the strength of our university. So last year, SGA created a campaign called the We Are Quinnipiac campaign, and the goal of it was to unite all three of these bodies and make sure that our community is as strong as it possibly can be. So this year we will continue that campaign, and I just want to urge you all to keep an eye out for any way that you can get involved in that, okay? Because we're looking to expand this year. So with that, if you were to ask me, what is the key to success at this university? I don't know, just do what you want.
The next person I want to introduce is a friend of mine, but he's also a successful graduate of the university, and I want to, because he is an example of the level of success that we hope for all of you, I just want to give a little bit more of an introduction than I have the other speakers. Brett Amendola graduated from Quinnipiac University in 1991, and he's the managing partner of Aegis Wealth Partners, an affiliate office of Guardian Life and Park Avenue Securities in Madison, Connecticut. He's dynamic, entrepreneurial, he's an innovative leader in the investment advisory field, and he's been recognized as such with various awards for his production and growth. He graduated with a finance degree from Quinnipiac. He was very active as a student while he was here. He took advantage of everything that we had to offer. He is currently the Vice President of the Quinnipiac University National Board of Governors, which is the governing body of the University Alumni Association. He's a dedicated alumnus since graduation and has hired more than 50 Quinnipiac graduates, and in 2008 received the Outstanding Business Alumni Award. It's my pleasure to introduce Brett Amendola, class of '91.
That makes me feel like I have to say something profound and I have to live up to something. I don't know that I'll do that. Mark asked me to offer some brief advice on what you should take away from your Quinnipiac experience to bolster your career in life. While I was thinking about that for the last week, Quinnipiac's the Alumni House put on their Facebook page a picture of move-in from 1977. And I stared at that when I got done laughing at the clothes they wore and thought I showed up 10 years later how different it was. I got out my phone to figure out it was 28 years later that you're all here. I couldn't do that in my head. And then I thought about maybe it's not the differences, but it's the similarities. So my friends and I, when we were here, we had a saying that we said very often, and is that a good college experience, or was it a good college experience? And that was kind of our bellwether as to how we made a decision. Whether it was to decide to have a radio show, which couldn't have been any farther away from anything I did, where I meet my best friend, take a class outside my major, like, frankly, public speaking, or a management course where I ended up learning how to meditate, which works really well if you wake up at 2 in the morning because you're going to speak in front of 2,000 people and you can't get back to sleep. Thank you, Frank. You might drive to Providence and see a concert. You may stay on campus to see whoever the speaker is that week. Make sure it's a good college experience. Talk to your favorite professor about an internship. He or she will help you have a great college experience. And by the way, it's the hardest professors, I think, that have the greatest impacts on your lives and your future. So my brief advice on how to have the best or take the most out of this is to try and experience, experiment and fail, succeed and learn, and frankly, most importantly, make friends. Throw a Frisbee on the quad, make it a good college experience.